Yo, what's going on YouTube? It's your boy GZTV. Sorry if my hair's a little fucked up. We are getting our day kicked off with a Soprano review. We are here. We're nearing the end of this damn thing. I'm gonna be watching episodes of this all weekend. I don't think I have any other plans but to talk about the Sopranos. So for you, and obviously the NBA recap. So for those of you who are big Soprano fans and have been, shout out to, man, I don't remember. I think his name's. It starts with a K. He comments on all my Soprano videos. Shout out to you. We'll be having plenty of discussions about the show this weekend. We're going to be closing it out probably early next week and heading into You, which I'm very excited for. But we're here with the 82nd episode, the 5th episode of the second half, and the 17th episode of the season overall. We have Walk Like a Man. Really good episode. We have a couple new characters. Someone dies here. That's not super important, but obviously it can have some crazy implications for the rest of the story. So we're going to get into what happens, and then we're going to kind of quickly discuss, what we think, what the show's trajectory is looking like, all that. So let's get into it. So AJ struggles with depression after his breakup with Blanca. Like, he's going through it. He's in his kind of adolescence years when you get kind of emotional, and even like the smallest inconveniences can get to you. I can relate to this for sure. Like, I've had these experiences. So he quits his job at the pizzeria, sulks around the house, and makes comments suggesting thoughts of suicide. So people are getting really, really concerned about him. Obviously, suicide is seen as cowardly by the mafia, but when it's your own son, you kind of have to get serious about it for a moment. Carmelis persuades him to start therapy just like his dad did, so he's kind of going on the trajectory that his dad Tony did. Obviously, he started therapy a little later in his life, but still. And this is not a great sign. Like, they gotta set this kid straight. Um, Tony tells Dr. Melfi he was going to permanently quit therapy, but decided against it in light of AJ's problems. And he realizes that, as much as he hates it, as much as he shits on it every time he's like in a session with her, it helps. Like, it's definitely a big help. It's not like it's just doing nothing for him. But he laments that his son has inherited his rotten fucking putrid genes, and he's like blaming himself for it. And that's one of the main reasons, funny enough, that Tony's in therapy, because he likes to blame himself for things. A lot of guilt's on his hands a lot of the time, and she helps him with that. So Tony persuades AJ to attend a party at the Bada Bing with the two Jasons, which is kind of funny that they call them that. We have Jason Gervasi and Jason Parisi, who are sons of Carlo, and one of them's a son of Carlo, and I don't remember the other one. I don't remember Parisi, whose dad that was. But yeah, they're all kind of connected to Tony, so yeah. Maybe there's another generation of mobsters coming, and obviously Tony doesn't really want that for his son, and he's kind of signified that throughout the show run. But maybe someone. Never mind. Sorry, I'm sorry about the shit in the background. Don't mind it. I like my basketball shoes in my bed, but so Carmela is angry at first, but is later satisfied to see that AJ is socializing again. She's like, "Really, Tony? This is a bit irresponsible to be sending your son to a strip club." But at the same time, anything to make him social, anything to help him recover from this depression. So he begins to associate with a profitable sports betting business they are running at a school. I have roommates. My apologies. So yeah, sports betting business. That's crazy. I know nowadays it's very prevalent, but like at the time, it's like, wow, sports betting in a frat house is kind of crazy, because it was a lot less accessible. Now people have like Underdog Sports and all these DraftKings and all sorts of people sponsoring them. But yeah, at a frat party, they use AJ's SUV to take a kid who owes them money into the woods. Now, this is some true gangster shit, and like, it's probably not a good thing that AJ's being exposed to such things, but it is what it is. They pour sulfuric acid on his toes while AJ helps hold him down. Apparently, he had a toe jam, or he had like some injuries down there, and obviously, when you put sulfuric acid against blood, against a cut, it gets it's acidic, and so it irritates it. Ugh, I don't even want to think about that. It's like putting like hand sanitizer on a paper cut or something. But worse. So Tony speaks to FBI agents. Meanwhile, Harris and Goddard about Ahmed, I guess, and Mohammed, who have stopped visiting the Bada Bing, and gives them the cell phone number one of them had used. So I mean, since they stopped visiting, I guess like it's all right for him to kind of rat them out. But at the same time, it's like, holy shit, Tony, you are kind of breaking a code here by ratting people out. But I guess they're not associated, and still snitching. It is what it is. I mean, obviously, he kind of wants the feds to get off his case, get off his tail, so this is a really good way of doing so. Kind of taking the easy way out. But Christopher and Polly are selling stolen power tools in a hardware store belonging to Christopher's father-in-law and dividing the take. So they're kind of starting this new business venture. They've been talking about it, all this stuff. So, however, Christopher is seeing the other members of the crew less than before. He's not showing up to the Bing as much. Like, it's getting kind of concerning. At a barbecue that he and Kelly host, Tony tells him that his absence from Soprano family gatherings could be seen as a lack of commitment, and people could start kind of questioning his authority as a capo. Christopher reminds him that he is avoiding such meetings to keep his sobriety, as there's always alcohol around. There's strippers, there's cokeheads, there's a really bad influence going around at the Bada Bing, so he doesn't want to be there for that, which is very respectable. It's like a great alibi from him. So, yeah, he tells Tony that his father, Dickie Moltisanti, wasn't much more than a fucking junkie, and he doesn't want to turn out like that. Like, there's parts of his life where he thought he was probably going to turn out like that, but he's trying to change for the better. But Paulie sends little Paulie and Jason Molinaro to break into the hardware store and steal some items, which is a stupid ass move on Paulie's part, which they sell to Paulie's Cuban contacts in Miami. So he's trying to get his kind of split. It's not like they're really stealing, they're all kind of a part of the same business, but he wants to have his take. So Christopher confronts Paulie and demands compensation. Paulie crudely rebuffs him, like, get the fuck out of my house. This is right here. That's the scene right there. He's like, get the fuck out of my house. What are you doing? But, like, dude, seriously. It's really weird. But Tony brushes off Christopher's complaints. Like, he goes to the Bing, he tries to tell Tony, like, hey, I gotta talk to you, this is super important, and Tony just completely brushes him to the side. So now Christopher has this feeling like, I'm not very important to these people anymore, am I? Christopher finds himself increasingly sidelined in the family, with Bobby apparently taking his position in Tony's inner circle, which is extremely fucked up. Like, you see Tony hanging out with Bobby a lot more. So when little Paulie steals again from the hardware store, Christopher tracks him down and throws him out of a third-floor window, which was absolutely insane. I think that was a bit uncalled for, but holy shit. He survives, but with 6 broken vertebrae. So he's probably not going to be able to, like, walk very well for a long-ass time. Paulie Galtieri then vandalizes Christopher's landscape front garden with his Cadillac CTS. Just trying to get revenge on each other, acting like a bunch of little children. So Tony makes peace between Christopher, though, and Paulie, and the money situation is worked out. They kind of meet at a bar, and they're kind of like reconciling with each other, but it doesn't last long. It's very short term here. The two reconcile their differences at the Bing, where Christopher drinks with Paulie to mark the occasion. Like, remember, he's sober, so this is like a pretty big deal for Christopher to be doing something like this. Christopher gets drunk and rambles about his daughter, causing Paulie to make some off-color jokes. Like, goes a little too far here. Christopher thinks everyone is laughing at him. Tony, most of all, and abruptly leaves. Like, he can't deal with it. This is a super, like, big strike to his ego. He goes straight to JT's apartment, but JT cannot help him much, as he is no longer Christopher's sponsor. He has work to do, and it is dangerous for him to hear the things Christopher starts to tell him. This is very incriminating information. And JT Dolan, I feel like that's a real guy, but I guess he's not. But rebuffing him, he says, you're in the mafia, like, I can't help you. So now Christopher just, like, doesn't have any more resorts. He feels very lost right now. And to solve that, after a few seconds, Christopher quietly says fine and begins to walk away before turning around and killing JT with a shot to the head. And that is the only character that dies in the episode. He's murdered by Christopher Moltisanti after refusing to listen to his story about the mafia, because it's very dangerous for him to know these things. Obviously, we meet Dr. Richard Vogel, who's AJ's psychiatrist. We meet Jason Parisi, who's the son of Patsy Parisi and a friend of AJ Soprano and Jason Gervasi. He attends Rutgers University and is part of a small-time crew that runs sportsbook operations at his college. He and Jason Gervasi are known as the Jasons. We also meet Walden Belfiore, who's a soldier in the Gervasi crew, seen at the Bada Bing with the other mobsters. So, kind of learning, like, still getting some new characters in these crime families, which is kind of crazy. But I'm out, guys. I don't really have much to say. Christopher and Paulie's relationship is going to be interesting. Obviously, JT Dolan is no longer a part of the show. yeah, not much to say. NBA recaps tonight for all the close games. I gotta start studying for finals. I mean, I already kind of started, but yeah. Let's see how Tony reacts to the whole situation.